Hello, I am Dr. Patrice Berry. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, and here I share educational information on a variety of topics. Once you all are in here, please let me know that you all can hear me in the chat. I have a different setup. I'm at the office today. I watched this yesterday with in the Emily D. Baker, so in the Law Nerds stream, and I'm not going to play any of Alec's statement. It was just, it didn't come off completely genuine to me. He tried again to show some emotion. The judge's comments were really telling to me. And within Alec's statement, I think it was about 50 minutes or so. It was really long. And in there, he ends up talking about a bunch of different things that are just, and so welcome, Laura. Welcome, Phoenix. I'm really glad to get to talk about this. So glad the notifications came out. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Do those YouTubey things. And we are just going to cover the judge's statement, and then I'll also answer questions about lie detectors because that came up. It sounds like a part of his plea deal is that he has to undergo some type of lie detector. That's what I got from what I heard, and y'all let me know if you heard that differently. I think they are trying to see if he knows anything about where the outstanding funds are, because they were able to recover some money, but not the millions of dollars that he's admitted to stealing over the years, and he hasn't said where that money is. The judge, so after Alec made his statement, the judge took a 45-minute lunch break. And now the state is going to do their closing argument, and then we're going to get into the judge's statement. So let's start there. And the full link to Court TV, that's the stream I'm using today, the full link is in the description.
Your Honor, that would be the state's presentation. I would just say in closing, that I think Your Honor just got a taste of what all these victims have gotten. And I think that he talked about these special recollections. It's good to know he has recollections about some things. But he's good. He can look people in the eye. But we've seen it all before. We saw it for 2 days at the murder trial. We saw it in Dave Owen's car. And all of these victims have seen it over and over again in their interactions with him and in his office. But even as we heard that entire soliloquy, even now, his only concern, the main thing he was concerned about, was how he felt others perceived him, his perception in the mind of others.
Okay, let's talk about that real quick. So Alec is supposed to be making his statement about how, I guess he's sorry, but it turns into him talking about how he's hurt of how people view his family now, or how people, the legacy for his father and grandfather. Like, it turned into being more about him. And anytime I see emotions from him, it seems like it's more about the effect that his behaviors have had on him, not necessarily him feeling bad about what he's done. That's my opinion, so I can't say that for sure. But with individuals with traits like Alec, what can happen is that the emotions that they feel, it's strongly based and rooted in their own experience and how things reflect and relate to them. Yes, I agree. I think he totally made himself the victim during this. Welcome. Thank you. Glad you were able to join live. All right, so let's keep going.
Others. And I'm just closed with saying what I said to you right before sentencing in the murder trial, that when he sat there and looked all these victims in the eye, it was the same thing that he had done when he stole from them. It's the same thing that he's done in his interactions with police. And the reality is that not one single person who thought they knew this man, and there were so many who thought they did, not one single person knew who he really was. And Your Honor, it's time for, at least in these proceedings, respectfully, for the system to be done with him, and we would ask you to accept the 27 years. Thank you.
For the system to be done with him. Because basically what they're saying is the judge accepting this sentence, that they wouldn't have to go through all of these different trials for all of these different financial crimes. That during his murder trial, he already admitted that he did anyway. Now let's get to the judge. I love Judge Newman. He's awesome.
Your Honor, we have nothing further to say except we urge you to adopt the Attorney General's position on accepting the negotiated plea.
Yes, sir. Where there's a negotiated sentence, as I stated earlier, either the court accepts the guilty plea and impose the exact sentence that the parties have negotiated, or the court will not accept the guilty plea. We've now spent 2 days listening to the recitation by the state and the defense, and I will accept the negotiated sentence and accept the guilty plea. Mr. Murdaugh, if you'll come around for sentencing. It was September of 2021 when the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court assigned me to preside over the pending investigations involving the various offenses that you are being investigated for, initially including these financial crimes and the murder cases. And I have lived with this case now for over 2 years. And I have 34 days left before active retirement. And after imposing this sentence, your life will continue. I will turn the page and leave you behind.
Judge Newman, I will turn the page and leave you behind. Like, Judge Newman is doing like this. And that is one of, like, when you're talking to someone, so I think Alec wants to live rent free in all of our minds. Like, he desperately wants, and that's why he gave like this 50-minute like monologue that was just like, dude, can you please just sit down? Poor Emily D. Baker was like yelling at the, it was absolutely hilarious in her stream yesterday. And Judge Newman's just like, I'm done. Like, I'm about to retire. He's about to go, and Alec is gonna be in jail, and he's, yeah. So I thought and Judge Newman is gonna like make a few other statements that I'll probably pause it just to read, because he says it so smooth. Like, he says the most powerful, like, phenomenal, I don't know, like the things he says, but he just says like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm not going to think about you ever again.
You're quite an enigma, a person that many of us thought we knew. And as I stated earlier, I can only recall you as being a fun-loving, happy person. I've never seen you sad. I've never seen you being anything other than a friendly, caring person. And it's so disappointing to see you again in this setting. believe the last time we saw each other and you were not in jail was at a conference when you were poolside having a good time. And as it turns out, that was a couple of months after the passing of your wife and son. But you were having a good time, made nothing of it. And then the Labor Day weekend events occurred, and
So, and I think Judge Newman specifically brought up that incident because Alec, again, during his soliloquy, whatever, like during his statement, he again, says that he's innocent. He wouldn't have hurt Maggie or Paul. He specifically calls out like Maggie's family, and like he does all of that. And Judge Newman was like, I saw you a few months after, and you were having a good old time. And okay, let's keep going.
next thing I know, I'm assigned to preside over all of your matters. Not on your matters, but others as well. And we started out with over 100 charges, indictments against various folks. And we've whittled that down to just a handful, outstanding. And I'm happy to turn the page and turn, not turn the remnants over to anyone else, but to certainly turn over anything pending against you to someone else. It's been said that
Also, I don't know if he's making this statement because if Alec does have to be retried, Judge Newman is like, I'm not, no. Because I think the defense has they don't want Judge Newman to, if Alec does get another trial, Judge Newman is like, I don't even want it. Like, sure, like whatever. I don't even want it. And I don't know if there have been any filings that Judge Newman can't preside over any of that. But Judge Newman is just, he's done. I do know, so at the beginning of this trial, because right before this trial started, I believe, Judge Newman lost his adult son. And grief is weird. And to preside over this type of incident for somebody, so back to Alec's murder charges, to preside over something like that for somebody who talks about loving their son and all of that, and all the while, like Judge Newman is also grieving. Now, he was incredibly balanced, and I don't think that affected anything at all. But I do think he's looking forward to just releasing, like to not being involved in any of this ever again.
Said that these are white collar offenses. I've never had that distinction. I've never thought of it that way. I've looked at criminal offenses as criminal offenses. 3 property crimes in South Carolina you can get 10 years in prison. People have gotten 10 years for shoplifting, third offense. I've sent people into retirement for committing criminal offenses over and over and over again. But I've never thought of it as being a white collar offense. Having had employees do embezzlement, church secretaries stole money, preachers stolen money, many offenses. But I never draw a distinction between a violent crime and other crimes. Certainly the law makes a distinction, and many violent crimes are non-parole offenses. The plea I'm accepting with you, you must serve 85% of the time. The parties have indicated that they are the victims, to the extent that they can be called victims there. That's my preferred term for the group of people who have been preyed upon or victimized. They've all indicated that they would like for the court to accept the negotiated sentence. It is a stern sentence. question was asked, or what kind of animal are you? You're an enigmatic person. I don't know that you understand yourself. What comes to mind is a young man that I sentenced to death penalty for killing a police officer and setting his body on fire. And though personally I was opposed to capital punishment, he was sentenced to death. And in writing up that sentence report, I concluded that he was heartless. He was just empty. And when I see you and I listen to you and I reflect on all that I've seen since being appointed, assigned to these cases, you come closest to that young man.
He called him empty, empty. He's like, I look at you and I listen to you, and there's just something missing. And that's how I felt. So when Alec was giving his statement, anytime he's talking and he's talking about these people that he loved and how much, because Alec calls out the specific victims. He calls out JJ, the so I think it's pretty well known. So JJ has some medical, some behavioral health concerns. He was susceptible to being taken advantage of, and Alec took advantage of him. And Alec is sitting here talking about how much he loved his mom, Gloria, and all of, like, it's just, it all felt, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel right to me listening to it. And the judge was just like, you're empty. And often when people have those types of, like, that the apology felt empty, that his statement, it just felt empty. I didn't have those words. So, like, when I listened to it, I was just like, I just felt like something was missing. It came off, but empty. That was a really, really good word for it, I think. All right, let's go back.
Being empty, I don't see anything. I tried to reach you at sentencing in the other case. I've listened to you here today, and I don't see anything there. Hopefully something will emerge within your spirit, within your soul. Certainly, being a person of your age and intelligence and experience, you have a lot to offer to the people that you encounter on a daily basis in the institution. And I think it's admirable that you've indicated that you will help them and continue to try to.
So during Alec's statement, he talked about wanting to help the other prisoners and how he has all of this to give. And, like, because of, from what I've seen, Alec seems to have an ability to manipulate and control people and to get his way. And I don't know that that has changed. So he tried to blame the substance on that. I don't think that was all of it. I think even before, this is just based on what I've seen, based on things that I've heard, that seems to have been there before. And so, yes, the whole, so I did not watch all of the, because the victims each gave a statement. Anybody that wanted to make a statement did. I just, it's so heart wrenching. I didn't. I did watch Alec's statement and the judge, and I did catch that one victim, the one who was right in the middle of this. I was able to catch her statement as well.
Try to do good by them. You'll certainly have a lot of opportunity to do that. As we look at all of us, none of us are perfect. Many of us do things that we shouldn't do. It's just unimaginable to me that you have done some of the things that you've done. And whether it's you or someone you become upon using drugs or through the process of just committing the crimes over and over the period of years, I don't know. I don't even know who I'm speaking to now.
The judge said, I don't even know who I'm speaking to now. I don't even know who. And I think that statement is just, Alec has these different sides. He has these different faces that he puts on. Like, and so I think the judge is just like, I don't even know if any of this is hitting. I don't know if you're getting any of this. And I'm just going to say what I have to say. It'll be out there, and he's going to go retired in 35 days. And we wish him all the best. We wish Judge Newman all the best. Him and Judge Carroll. Somebody else mentioned that. Those are two judges that I've been able to watch over the course of trials. I am going. So they just said today that Chad Daybell's trial will be streamed as well. They'll allow. The court is going to provide the cameras, and the court is going to have control of those cameras. But if they have any mental health people, or if mental health comes up in any way, or if we want to talk about, if I see something that I want to react to, I definitely will do that with his case as well.
But being a person of power and influence, and the question is raised of what type of character do you have? A person who would prey upon folks who are vulnerable and who are of a lower perceived estate than you, how you would prey upon those.
Okay, so the comment that I just put up. So my hypothesis about what happened towards the end, I think Paul was close to possibly having some consequences for his, like, with stuff coming with the boat stuff. Because so Paul was still, it sounds like Paul was still drinking excessively. He was still engaging in pretty, it sounds like he was still engaging in some pretty reckless behavior. And I think Alex saw Paul as a liability. Anybody disagree? I truly think Alec saw Paul like, you're going to ruin all, like, you're going to bring heat to the family, because they were going to have to start to look into the financial records. And if they dig into the Murdaugh's finances, they're going to realize that, like, all this money, they're going to start to feel all of those things. And so I think Alec wanted to shift that attention. Now, okay, because he's been found guilty of that, so I can say all this. Because Alec denies that he did this, all of that. But a jury found him guilty. And I truly think the kennel video, that was the thing that sealed it, because he just lied and lied, and he lied about where he was. And I think that kennel video moments before, it sounds like that definitely led to I don't know. Like, I think that was a pretty significant piece of evidence for the jury. Now, for Maggie, I think Maggie, I don't think he wanted Maggie to live without Paul. Like, it sounds like Maggie and Paul were really close. And then it sounds like Maggie might have left him. Like, if Maggie found out all that he had done, I think Maggie probably, I'm talking about he, I say Alec. I think Maggie might have left Alec if she knew all of this. I don't think Maggie knew that he was stealing from clients. So this is, I don't know this family, I don't know their situation, but these are just my thoughts based on just watching this case and covering things. Yeah, I think Alec was incredibly protective of himself and his own reputation and continuing to cover up his own crimes. Like I think that um yes, 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 yes. Yeah. Paul as a liability. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. All right. I'm so glad that Kindle, because I think Alec might have got away with it if it wasn't for that Kindle video. I truly think that he might have gotten away with it. The financial stuff, he wasn't like there was too much in to line up for that part. But yeah,
Those people who you say you love, um, and you capitalize on a disparity of what you have versus what they had and what they need and what they desired. In my years, I know of no greater joy as a lawyer that I've had during my 47 years as a lawyer than the joy of of having a satisfied client, of delivering good results for a client and experiencing that joy with them. I can think of no greater joy than I've experienced and being able to deliver on behalf of a client. And I'm sure you've experienced that joy as well until it's.
but then because Alec, he would win for clients, but then he would like dip into their money though. Like that was, ugh. Like so he came off incredibly entitled to me, like he thought he deserved more or that he could just get away with it. That if people leave themselves open to being taken advantage of, that it's okay if he takes advantage of people. This is my thoughts and perspective. This isn't, but just from what I've seen and heard, that's just how it seems. Somebody else mentioned, so Alec's statement went on and on and on. Like I actually checked out for like a few minutes, and it was way, way, way too much. It was way too much. All right, let's keep going.
Until you decided that the only joy you're concerned about was your own. I take no joy at all in imposing this sentence, but it is what it is. And you'll have to suffer the consequences of your acts, continue to suffer the consequences. And hopefully some good will come out of you as you move forward. There are a number of counts here, a number of indictments, and you'll get an individual sentence as to each one.
Okay, so I mostly wanted to cover the judge's statement because I think after that, the judge just reads through each one of the indictments and does that part. I'm not surprised that some people had to take breaks. His statement, it was infuriating, and then because Emily D. Baker pointed out the fact that he was not talking to the victims, he was talking to the press. So in the jury box, there was a press corps, and that this seemed to be a big PR move. Like it seemed to be more of a theatrical performance for the press. And I don't, in my personal opinion, I don't think that any of it was for the actual victims, for the stuff that he's done. And I think that might have been why the judge also said that it just felt empty, that it just felt like, okay, you're just up here doing this for you. Um, I want to highlight this. He may say he will help those in prison, but he will have that motive to help himself. Yes. And uh, it's ugh, uh, it'll be interesting to see if he does get a new trial. I haven't watched the video yet, but I know a video by EDB came out today on the arrest of Becky Hill's son. I think it's Josh Hill. I could be wrong. But for his, I think it's wiretapping, because I think he listened in on a phone call. They haven't disclosed whose phone call. They haven't disclosed any of that information. It will be interesting to see if Alec does get another trial. I did a video a long time ago just talking about, oh my gosh, can we do this again? And if we did have to do it again, I think the prosecution they might not go as deep into the financial stuff, especially with him pleading guilty and admitting to that part. But I do think Alec is going to try to use some of the statements and things of like, "Ooh, I pled guilty to the financial stuff. Doesn't that mean that, oh, I didn't do, but I'm fighting this. So that means that this is true." When all the evidence seems to point to the fact of like that Alec was there, Alec knows, and all of that. And so it's my understanding that JJ's lawyer, I'm bad with names. Y'all can tell me the name, but that one of the lawyers, because there was a press conference afterwards, that they have some type of order where if he makes money in the next 10 years, that the victims will be able to recoup. So they might sue him civilly if he ends up making money. And some of the judges get, sorry, not some of the jurisdictions, they have limitations on inmates being able to profit off of their crime. And so there are some jurisdictions or some jails that do not allow them to make money from a podcast or make money from videos or writing a book, that they're not able to like profit that way from their crime. And so if he does end up making money in a period of time, that they are going to sue him for additional damages, because and they pointed that out during the press conference as well, because they talked about the victims being made whole. While the victims did get the money that they were entitled to, their punitive damages, the emotional damage of all of this, that there still are some possible civil lawsuits that might come up down the road, because this was just oh, cool. I didn't know that. So in New York, it's called the Son of Sam law. Nice. That's awesome. Thank you. Glad people are here. And lastly, I wanted to talk about the lie detector. So the way that lie detectors work, there is nothing that will 100% tell whether someone is lying or not all of the time. But there are some indicators that can point towards something being more or less truthful. You can learn things from people's body language. You can, so that's where I follow um, uh, Spidey, and then also Dr. G. Both of them talk a lot about body language, and I think Spidey might have a video on like how to tell if people are lying. But with a lie detector, they hook up sensors to detect if a person shows an increased stress response. So lying, the act of lying, it typically creates some amount of stress where the person, and it's kind of subconscious. It's not like they might not be stressed in their mind about it, but that physiologically, a lot of people, they might sweat a little bit more. Their heart rate might be a little bit more. Like there might be a change in their physiology when they tell a lie. And those tests typically ask yes or no questions, where it's like, is your name now? Because a lot of times they don't ask for like state your name. Like normally they say, is your name Patrice Berry? Do you live here? Do you have two sons? And they might say like, I want you to say the incorrect answer for this one. because they want to measure what happens to the body when the person does lie on like a test question. And then for all of the tests, they'll then take a look at, is there a spike at any point for any of the answers? And they record the questions. So they record the questions that were asked, the responses, and the physiological response. Now, there are ways to spoof a lie detector, and Alec seems pretty smart, and I could potentially see him getting around one. Okay, I'm just being honest, because sometimes what can happen is, so if in his mind, if he truly adamantly believes he did not do this thing, he believes that with all his might in his head, and he's not giving any indicators to say that he's not. But let's say that's not the truth. You can spoof a lie detector. So I don't have a ton of confidence in all of that. It's a tool that interrogators use along with a bunch of other things. I think they wanted to subject him to a lie detector just to try to see if there's any way to recoup some of that lost money, to figure out, does he know more than he's saying, and to kind of go from there. But I appreciate you all joining me for this short stream just to talk about this, the Alec Murdaugh verdict. If y'all have things that y'all would like for me to cover, feel free to leave it in the comments. I do check those, and I hope y'all enjoy the rest of your day.